Hello and welcome to this live stream where we're going to be going through a couple of your questions about clearing and about DMU in general. So do make sure to say hi in the comments if you guys are here. My name's Jake Bohr. I'll be hosting today, but I won't be doing it alone. So firstly, I'm going to get in Henrik from the inquiries team. Henrik, hi.
Hi there. Morning, Jake. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Yourself?
Not too bad. Just trying to not melt into my office chair, but apart from that, all good, thank you.
It is sweltering today. Would you like to tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so I work in the school and college liaison/recruitment team as a student recruitment officer. So part of my role on a sort of daily basis is to travel around to schools and colleges within the Midlands and give them lots of insightful information on all things regarding university. So that includes things like clearing, student finance, UCAS, all that kind of stuff. I actually graduated myself from Montfort University in 2017, and my undergraduate degree was in human resource management. So hopefully can give you a little bit of insight as well as what it's like to live and study at DMU. So yeah.
For sure. I should also probably mention that I graduated in 2019 with a degree in media production. But we're not going to be the only people here. We're also going to get a current student on. So Barnaby, hello, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, so as you said, my name's Barnaby. I'm a third year drama student, so I'll be graduating very soon, and I'll be graduating with first, so I'm very excited about that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm just thank you.
Fantastic. So I think at the very top of the day, it's worth getting in that obviously clearing is currently open and you can get involved. The hotlines to call, if you want to call us on 0116 257 7000. Or if you want to call us on if you want to contact us on WhatsApp, the number is 07970 655 800. We will be repeating that a couple of times, so if you missed it, don't worry, or check out one of our social medias. They are all over them. So I think we're going to start off with getting on a bit more about clearing. So Henrik, would you like to explain to us what clearing exactly is?
Yes, of course. So clearing essentially is an opportunity for students that don't have a place at university to secure a space on a course or at an institution that still has spaces available. So just to put things simply, at the end of sort of the UCAS cycle, if there's universities that still got places on courses, students can still apply to them. Now, to apply through clearing, we're probably going to touch on this in a little while anyway, but to apply through clearing or to apply to a course through clearing, you can't currently hold any offers. So the idea with that is it's like a final chance for students to get a place in a course Now, I just want to touch on something quite early, get it out of the way early doors. I think a lot of people have sort of negative connotations with things like clearing. Sometimes they see it as an opportunity, maybe if students haven't quite done as well as they want. But clearing is a really good opportunity to change your course. So maybe, you wanted to study, let's say, business or something, you change your mind, you want to do history. You can do that through clearing. It's also, you can do something called adjustment, which is if you did better than you were expected to when it came to your exams, you could actually go to a institution or pick a course that has slightly higher entry requirements. So it's a really good opportunity. Definitely look into it if it's something you consider. And yeah, it's just a really good fine opportunity for students to get that place into university if they want to go. Also, it's a really good chance for students that maybe hadn't considered university during the main UCAS cycle. So, maybe you're thinking of going straight into work or into an apprenticeship, and all your mates were going to uni, and, you started to get a bit cold feet and you just wanted to, you wanted to get part of the action as well. So that's another chance for you to apply. So if you hadn't already applied through the cycle, you can still apply through clearing if you wish.
For sure. And I think the natural lead in from that is, how can you apply for clearing?
Yeah, so I guess some institutions probably do things differently, but I know, speaking about IMU de Montfort, the two numbers that you've already mentioned, I'll read them out again in just a moment. They're probably the best way to get in contact with us. So if you call us on our clearing hotline, which is 0116 257 000, or you can message us on a WhatsApp, which is 0797 06 55 800. And essentially what you do is you just contact us. A member of our call handling team will take your call and they'll look to process your clearing application. Then all you need to do is go onto UCAS. So whether you've already applied through UCAS and created a profile, you just add De Montfort as a clearing choice on your UCAS track. If you haven't gone through the UCAS cycle yet, you will need to go and create a UCAS profile. Now, it's quite lengthy, so I'd say, if you are considering going through clearing, results day is tomorrow, so you might want to start doing that now. But there's a lot of personal information you've got to put in. You might have to still look for a personal statement. You might have to get a reference, that kind of thing, and these things can take a little bit of time. So that's essentially it. So you go through UCAS, you apply quite similar to you would in the normal cycle. But you can shop around, so that's something that's worth noting as well. So you can shop around, you can speak to as many universities as you want, you can secure your place in as many courses as you want, but ultimately, to go through clearing, you can't have any current offers, and you can only obviously accept the one offer, which you then look to start in September, October, depending on when universities go back.
Fantastic, yes. Obviously, we've mentioned that our clearing lines are open. So this one might seem a bit self-explanatory, but when can you apply to get in through clearing?
Yeah, so clearing this year actually started on, I've made a note of it, July the 6th. So it has been open for a while. Students have been applying to us. We received a fair amount of applications already, but it closes on the 20th of October. So you do still have a little bit of time. It is worth noting, though, that as soon as you get closer to or past results day, a lot of spaces start to fill up on the courses. So, especially a lot of the popular courses, things like pharmacy, some of the nursing courses, some of the business courses, psychology, law, these tend to be quite popular courses. And the later you leave it, the less chance you're going to have of getting a space on that course. But you can apply now. It has been open for around a month or so. And you do have a little bit more time now. So, it gives you a lot of time to think about things as well. So maybe if you already hold an offer with another institution, but you are considering, say, coming to DMU, or you're changing course, that kind of thing, you don't have to rush into a decision just yet. You've got a little bit of time to think about it. But remember, you've got, university will probably start around September, October. So really, you've got until then just to get all your stuff together. Another thing worth noting as well is if you are thinking of potentially moving out and living in halls or living in accommodation, the longer you leave it, probably the less chance of you securing that, just because, as more students come through clearing, they are going to, take a lot of those accommodation spaces. So it's another thing just to consider if you are thinking about going through clearing and potentially moving away from home.
Absolutely. I think something else to add on the end of that is, even if you think it might be too late or anything, still apply, because DMU are guaranteeing accommodation for anyone who comes through clearing this year. We are going to be doing a question segment at the end where we'll be answering some people's questions. But I have just seen one that's come up, which seems quite important to add to this discussion right now, so I will just bring that up. From Joe Mel, he says, can I apply to clearing to DMU if I've not met the initial requirements to get in to the course?
Okay, so I guess one of the more attractive aspects of clearing is that typically some courses might drop their entry requirements slightly. So maybe if a course potentially asked for 3Bs, that might now be BBC. It's something that will change on results day. So you can look at the university websites, you can look at the UCAS website, and you can look at what those entry requirements are. Now, it might mean that, potentially when you were looking at applying your predicted grades, maybe they didn't quite match up with what the university or what the course was asking for. But maybe now through clearing, those results may have dropped slightly, and it might be an opportunity for you to go through. Now, I'm not sure if you mean that you've already applied for nursing, but if you have applied for a course and you unfortunately rejected anywhere down the line, or you're unsuccessful, whether it's because your grades didn't quite meet the criteria, or you're unsuccessful at something like interview, or you're unsuccessful with your portfolio, for instance, you then won't be able to reapply for that same course. So it is worth noting that, if you were unsuccessful at any point in the cycle, applying for a certain course, you can't then go and reapply for it at clearing, unfortunately. You can at another institution potentially, but say if you applied for nursing at DMU and you were unsuccessful at interview, say for instance, you wouldn't then be able to apply for clearing. But then if you wanted to go apply to another university for nursing that you haven't applied to yet, you'd be fine to do that. So hopefully that clears that up.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Right. Yes. So I think we've been going through how you can apply, when you can apply, and all this sort of stuff. What will happen though when you do apply eventually?
So hopefully you'll call us through on our hotline, or your WhatsApp us, depending on what your preference is. It's always quite nice to have that conversation with someone over the phone, but if you are, potentially a little bit more shy and you want to just message someone, that's fine. You can speak directly to someone on WhatsApp as well. What you do is you'll be told that you'll have an offer, and you'll have a deadline to essentially accept that offer. And that typically is the following working day at around 5 p.m. So you'll have a little bit of time to think about your offer, maybe have a chat with your parents or your guardians, just to make sure you're happy with what you're doing. And essentially, it's just a case of going onto your UCAS and adding that clearing offer as a choice, and it links to your profile, and then you get sent like a welcome email, all that kind of thing. It is also worth noting that you do need to look at things like accommodation if you are considering moving out. So that could be part of your whole decision as well. So when you've been made your offer, you don't need to accept it straight away. So you can sit on that offer for until the following day, essentially. Have a chat with accommodation, look at what options are available. And it's also worth contacting student finance. So if you have gone through student finance, which probably 99% of students do, if you have applied to student finance, or you haven't even applied yet, you will need to update your information if you do change any of your courses or your institutions through clearing. So it's a case of, we all know that student finance is a really lengthy process. It's a really long document, long form. It's not the most exciting thing. But if you do go through clearing and you change change your mind or anything, just contact student finance, give them a call, and they can update all the administrative stuff on their side, and then you don't have to reapply. If you haven't applied to student finance yet, you will also need to do that as soon as you can, just because it can take around 6 weeks for student finance to process applications, and with everything that's going on at the moment, there might be a little bit of extra time added onto that as well. So the last thing you want is to be ready to start your studies come the end of September, early October, and your funds aren't available yet just because things haven't been processed. So really, just top tip for clearing, really, just be as proactive as you can, and try and get everything in place ready, come results day, and moving on from that. So
for sure. So we're talking a lot about clearing, but what courses are currently available at DMU?
Testing me now. There's loads. There's hundreds of courses. So majority of the courses will potentially be on there, and it will go through the faculties. So you'll have more like your art and design courses, your humanity-based courses, things like English, history. You've got drama, performing arts, that kind of thing. You've got all your science courses, and you've got your nutrition, pharmacy. Some of the nursing programs might be on there as well. Business and law is a really popular one. So there's lots of business courses, lots of law variants as well. So majority of courses are on clearing. I think the best tip I'd say is visit the DMU website and have a look at what courses are currently available. It is just worth noting as well, though, as places fill up on these courses, you might find that, you might check the website at 12 o'clock and there is a course available for you to apply to. But 10 minutes later, that's no longer available. It's full. It's just the nature of clearing, unfortunately. So just have a look. And yeah, it will change throughout the day. But at the moment, I think the majority of the courses are probably potentially on clearing. But yeah, it's worth just having a look at that.
That question did feel a little bit unfair. It did feel kind of like I'd asked you to name all the countries in the world or something.
Name every single course that DMU offers. No, sorry, I could not do that.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so one of the most important things also is obviously knowing what you're going to need going in. So what do you need to apply to DMU to clear through clearing even?
Okay, so it's going to vary really. So if you get your results or you ring up and you're not, you maybe haven't got into your institution of choice, that kind of thing, and you want to apply, say, to DMU through clearing, you will need to go to your school or college or collect your grades, your qualifications. However they're going to do that at the moment, I guess they're probably going to be either emailed to you or you might be able to access them through like an online portal. But if you are looking to apply for clearing, you will need your qualifications because when you call up the clearing hotline, they can't tell you your grades, unfortunately. So you will need to have them to hand. And the idea is you've got your certificates, you know exactly what you studied, you know exactly what the grades are, how much they're worth, that kind of thing. Especially if you study something like a BTEC, there are tons and tons of different BTECs out there. They've all got different names. So if you could do our cool hands a favor, I guess, when you call through, if you could tell us exactly what your qualification is, it will make our jobs a little easier when we come to process your clearing applications. I guess as well, obviously, you'll need a UCAS profile at some point. So if you've already made one, great. It's just a case of going on there and updating your UCAS track, as I've said. If you haven't got a UCAS profile yet, you will need to go and make one. So you can actually apply to clearing without having a UCAS ID. Just what you need to do is you'll have to go in at a later date, preferably the same day, go and make your UCAS profile, fill in all the stuff that you need. You might need a reference potentially, like I said, it might vary from university to university or different courses. And then certain courses as well might ask for things like interviews, they might ask for portfolios, auditions, or DBS clearances, that kind of thing. So just make sure that you're sort of, being proactive, thinking ahead. And, probably a little bit late now because it's results day tomorrow. But what we try and say is please try and avoid going away or going on holiday on results day, just because you might need to be locally based just so that you can sort anything out if you did need to. But obviously, if you're going away tomorrow, it's a little bit late to say that. But just, prepare future planning. Try and avoid going away on results day just so you can get everything sorted if you need to.
For sure. So it's important to have, would you say, everything that has a UCAS credit sort of amount?
So any qualifications, you'll need your UCAS ID if you have one. So that's your unique 10-digit identifier. So that's really useful, really helpful. When you contact your call handler, they'll be able to locate you that way. Pretty straightforward. You might need your student finance information and stuff like that. And then you can start thinking about what to do next. So things like, maybe getting a student bank account, rail card if you need that kind of thing. It's just saying it links into that whole being proactive thing. Just ready to, because you'll be surprised from now until sort of the end of September when university starts. Time will fly by. You'll be super excited. So you just want to make sure you've got everything in place. But full results day itself, just make sure you've got anything that you'll need that is UCAS based, anything that's qualification based, even maybe your GCSEs, that kind of thing, and just be sort of ready to go. I'd say a top tip as well, clearing itself. Results day itself, probably speaking on behalf of all three of us, it's quite like a nervy time. It's quite, especially, in the morning. I remember, I'm talking back to 2012 now, it's a long time ago, but I don't think I got much sleep the night before, and I think I was pretty nervous in the morning. So what I'd say is try your best to get an early night and, have a good breakfast in there to sort of settle any butterflies you can. But yeah, be raring to go. Clearing itself, I think UCAS or the university sort of hotlines, they open from around 8 in the morning. So you'll have around, it's quite early in the morning that you'll be able to start contacting universities and checking your grades and that kind of thing, and seeing if they match up with what you're expecting and what your clearing options are. So, sorry, that was a bit of a long one, but
it's okay. A levels results day almost feels like a more tense Christmas. You sort of wake up not knowing what you're going to get. It is also probably important to note that DMU's lines are going to be open from 6 a.m. tomorrow until 8 p.m. So building up on that, what words are difficult? I do apologize. Why would you Oh, my question is worded really badly. I do apologise.
No, that's fine.
What would get in the way of getting a clearing offer through DMU? So why wouldn't you be able to get a clearing offer through DMU? There we go.
Okay, so I guess two things really. I guess the first one being if you're holding an offer with another institution or at another course. So the only way you can go through clearing is if you have no offers. Now, typically students might go into clearing because they were potentially unsuccessful with their firm or their insurance choice, or they just haven't applied yet. So that's where that applies, that you've not got any offers from any institutions, so you can apply through clearing. If you're a student that does have an offer, they're holding an offer from a current university, and you want to come to DMU, say, all you need to do is release yourself from your current offer on UCAS track. So you log in on your UCAS, you'll be able to release yourself from that offer, and that should be pretty instantaneous. Once you've done that, you can then look to get an offer from elsewhere. So you can accept an offer from DMU, you can add it on your UCAS track. I guess the only real second reason why you might not potentially get an offer from DMU is because you might not hit the entry requirements, I guess, or certain courses, things like say adult nursing, for instance, which is a super popular course, it still has quite a strict interview process. So you still have to be ready for things like interviews and that kind of thing. But I guess they're the only thing. So obviously you can't come through clearing if you are holding a firm or insurance choice offer. And I guess you just don't meet the criteria that we're looking for, unfortunately, to simply put it.
Fair enough. We've got a couple of sort of clearing-based questions before we will get on to Barnaby, and I promise we will be, because I know you have just sort of been sat there for about 20 minutes. But I've got a couple of questions from the audience first, specifically about clearing. So the first one, similar to one that we had earlier, I applied to a course, but if I didn't get the grade, could I apply for the same course at foundation level? So a little bit different.
Yes, you can. It's a really good opportunity to then get onto the course. Most typical foundation courses have like a direct transition route as well. So if you did really well on your foundation course, just to use, say pharmacy, for instance, because that's one of our more popular foundation courses. A lot of students want to study pharmacy as a university degree, but maybe they didn't quite study chemistry at A level, that kind of thing, because that is a requirement we ask for. But you might have done really well in your A levels, but if you don't have that chemistry, unfortunately, we still can't let you on the course. So studying on the pharmacy year zero, which essentially is a foundation course, is a really good transition straight onto the main course. If you hit a certain grade in your foundation year. So yeah, definitely explore the foundation option if you'd like. But there are things like cross offers as well. So if maybe you don't quite meet the criteria for a certain course, you might be able to study something that's sort of loosely related. And that's another option for you to explore on the day as well.
Fantastic. And I have one other question, which I will pop up. And obviously, if you don't know the answer to this, we can obviously direct you to the right place you might do. Do you know how many days on generally students get an offer letter from DMU after applying?
So I think it should be a little bit quicker this year, because obviously it's not going to be a physical letter. It's going to be an email. So I think essentially what you'll have with your offer is if you've secured your place with us, so if we're your firm choice, or if you come through DMU as your insurance choice, you'll probably get your letter, well, it'll be an email pretty close to results, when you get your results, I guess. If you are someone that applies through clearing, you'll get your offer pretty much the same as well, but you'll have obviously around a working day to accept that. So I think this year they should be pretty instant. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're going to move away from clearing for a little bit now, and just sort of talk a bit more about student life on campus and what it's actually like to go to DMU. So Barnaby, thanks for being so patient for so long. I think we'll start off with an easy one. Why did you choose to come to DMU?
Well, I chose to come to DMU because it was so clear. Well, as I said, I studied drama, and it was so clear on open days coming to campus and stuff that the arts is so important to the university. It's not just, I feel like when I went to other open days, I kind of felt like drama or the arts were kind of just a thing that were pushed to the side, and it was more, the sciencey subjects which took priority. Whereas it's so clear that at DMU all subjects are valued, and I've had funding put into them, and a lot of effort and time has gone into each course, and getting lots of practitioners, like working practitioners, people working in the industry, to come and work with us across all courses. And that's just something which, you know, I wanted to come and feel like my course was getting better kind of year on year, and like it was going to push me, and I was kind of going to be in that environment. And of course, when you come to campus, like you see like all of these newly built buildings and how great it is. It's just so like vibrant and bright. And I think what's really nice is that the DMU campus is all in one place. And so you don't kind of have to get buses or trains out like to other parts of the city to try and get to a class or something, and then come back. There's none of that. Like it's all in one place, which means that everything's really accessible, and you've got the library, but then at the same time as having the library with loads and loads of resources in it, you've also got things. You've got a subway on campus. There's like a little park called Castle Gardens, which you can kind of go there and really forget that you're in the middle of a city. And the campus is like a 10-minute walk away, well, even less than that maybe, into the city centre, into where there's a big High Cross shopping centre. And so because everything's just so close together, you can do everything in your day.
Fantastic. You've managed to answer like 5 of my questions in one single go, so I do have to congratulate you. But yeah, sort of focusing a bit more on your course. So obviously you studied drama. So what did you like most about your course?
Well, as I said, I think I loved that our course was they were really keen to make us work with professional companies and professional directors and practitioners and stuff. I think within one of the first few weeks of starting the university, we had a Frantic Assembly workshop, which is a massive theatre company that do loads of physical theatre stuff. We worked with a photographer called Manuel Vasson, and he's a bit of a live art celebrity, a performance art celebrity, in that kind of world and stuff. And we spent like 2 days, and they were 2 long days. Our uni hours were extended so that we could do it. And we spent kind of 2 days doing this kind of course with him, into the way that he works, which was great because he was literally someone that we were studying on our course. You know, he's someone that we have books in the library, we're writing essays about him, but we actually had him in the room with us, and he was, we were taking photographs with him, and we're looking at how they can be performative and stuff. I went on a DMU global trip to Belgium, and when I did, we went to take part in an international theatre festival. So again, that's another example of where they're putting us kind of in these professional environments. They gave us a professional director to work with outside of our classes. And so we worked at uni, we worked on building a show to go and prepare that. And then of course we went, and of course the director came with us and stuff. And then we're in that environment, and I think we all kind of just saw it as like a little uni thing. We didn't quite realize till we got there, like, oh wow, this is an international theatre festival. Like there's professional companies here, there's people, selling their shows. They're doing little previews for their big touring shows across the country and stuff, across the world. Like there was a French show that was there, it was touring all around the world. It was coming to the UK and stuff, and they performed a preview there, and it was crazy to be in that same environment with like such kind of big figures. So yeah, I think for me, I probably enjoy the most about DMU is the fact that they just put so much effort into the course and making sure that we're working, the industry connections, we're working with the people that essentially we want to be working with when we leave DMU as well.
For sure. I think I'd have to agree. When I studied media, one of the first things I got a chance to do was I got to go to a lecture with Russell T Davies, who was the writer of New Doctor Who. So yeah, that was a big thing for me, being quite a bit of a nerd. But yes, so you mentioned there, obviously you went to Berlin. Have you been on any other DMU global trips? What was that sort of experience like? Oh,
Oh, yeah, just froze a second. Sorry.
that's
Can you
fair.
just repeat that?
Did you go on any other DMU global trips?
Yes. So I also, the last one I just went on, I went to New York. And so that was amazing. That was never something I would imagine I would have been able to do. When I was at college, there was like a kind of New York trip which they ran, and like there was no possible way I could have afforded to have gone on it like at all. But then with DMU, of course, you get the bursary, and because we got the bursary, it means that it's really cheap for us to be able to go on these trips. So just referencing when I went to Belgium, that cost us, I think it literally we paid about £45 to DMU to go on a trip, and that included like our Eurostar ticket, our our where we were staying and stuff, the food, like it was all inclusive. We paid £45 to go, and all of that was covered. So then, I only took €100 on that trip, and even I didn't really spend that because you don't need to. It just became like kind of additional spending money. And the same with New York. Like I would never have been able to go without the bursary. It just makes it so much more affordable. But it was great, like being able to see. Like we literally went because I do drama. So it was when we go to New York as well. Like it's specific to your course, so it will be kind of you'll be able to go and kind of see industry stuff related to your course. So we went to Broadway, of course, and we got to see loads. I really understood kind of why people love musicals and love going to see them again and again, and love that kind of Broadway experience. It's just so fun, and like when you see that kind of production, when like in person and experience like the whole buzz of everything, like it's something else. Like you can't just watch it kind of on a film. Like it was a crazy to experience. And to experience like the American audience as well, all of them shouting out and interacting with the performers in a way you just don't get it in the UK. And it was just hilarious. Like it's so funny, like kind of just these guttural reactions. But then of course we did a lot of cultural activities as well. We went to the UN, so we had a tour of the UN, which we all, before going on the trip, we all kind of had a conversation and decided like it was really important to us that we wanted to go because even though it wasn't specific to drama, um, it did feel like we want to be engaged with the world, and we felt like it was just such a good opportunity to go and just learn about life, which I think is relevant to whatever you do really. Like whatever you do, you're probably going to be addressing something about life or something. um, and then also I went to Valencia in Spain, and that was in my second year, and it was because I actually studied Spanish as like a kind of just as a hobby really, and that again that's through DMU Global, and that was free for me to do. It was 2 hours a week, and that was with people not on my course, like just completely different people, and so I kind of knew them. I'd made friends a little bit and things. However, when I went on the trip, I very much felt like I was kind of just going on a trip with a bunch of strangers because there was a lot of people that hadn't been in my Spanish class. I was very nervous for it, but because of course you're going with you are going with DMU, and we're all in the same position. We all kind of made friends together, and I'm really shy, so it was crazy to me. I felt like I just kind of thrived in the situation, like almost throw myself into like a really extreme situation. I actually seemed to be quite social and make friends and stuff. Um, but again, that was a whole different experience. Like just the opportunity to essentially go on holiday with like a bunch of people that you've barely met or that you don't know very much, and then become so close at the end of the week was in itself like amazing. We had like a Spanish masterclass, because of course we were learning Spanish. We did lots of cultural activities. I visited the cathedral, which is one of the few cathedrals which claims that.
Oh, I think we might have lost Barnaby for a couple of seconds. That's okay. We'll let Barnaby sort himself out. That's okay. We've had a couple of questions, which we'll cover now. We will be getting into a question segment in a bit, so do make sure to send yours through. Just sort of wait for Barnaby to get back, hopefully, so we can have a little bit more of a chat about what you get on with at university. But Henrik, yes, hello. We've had another question from Simrandeep. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Asking if you know if there is a deadline to apply, or rather, I suppose, when clearing will be coming to a close. Would you know?
I mean, clearing's open at the moment. It's been open for a while. A massive chunk of applications will come in tomorrow because obviously it's results day. Clearing officially closes in October. But I think essentially it's either one of those things, it will close at the deadline or it will close, whichever one comes first, the deadline or when all the courses are full. So realistically, you've probably got a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks probably. But what I would say is definitely be proactive if you are looking at things like accommodation, that kind of thing. If that's something that's really important to you, the sooner you apply, the more likelihood of getting your more favourable accommodation, I'd say. But you can apply now, you can apply tomorrow, apply on the weekend, apply whenever suits you. But the faster you do that, probably the better, really.
Fantastic. And we've had another question coming through from I'm sorry, I would butcher your name if I attempt to pronounce it. But this person has asked, how long would I have to wait for a result after interview? So I believe we covered this a bit earlier, but
that's one I can't answer. I'm not sure. It would depend, obviously. It would depend on the course. Whoever has to look at your interview, that kind of thing. I'd say within a few days, probably. Just keep an eye on things like your email, your inbox, your spam, just in case it ends up in the wrong folder. But probably I'd say within a week, but I don't want to make any promises.
It's probably a good idea to actually ask that in your interview and to find that question out there, because it will vary from course to course. So Barnaby does appear to be back now, which is good. Hello, Barnaby.
Yeah, sorry, I seem to get kicked off like the entire stream for a second.
It's okay, technical difficulties happen. But we're going to ask a couple more questions about student life, and then we'll get into some more of your questions. So one of the big ones that I wanted to highlight was activities and societies. And I think, Henrik, I don't know if you got very involved in any particular societies or anything when you were at university, but I think this is certainly something that we could all talk about. So Barnaby, what kind of activities or societies have you been getting involved with at university?
Yeah, so there's loads of different societies, and they're a great way to like make friends and stuff, especially because everyone's in that same sort of boat of kind of when you first start university, and not kind of knowing exactly how to make friends and stuff. And societies are a great way to kind of meet people without the pressure of your grade or kind of your course and stuff. And I think it's important to bear in mind, because obviously with the situation at the moment, like there's not going to be a lot of physical activity. There's not going to be nights out and things when you first start back. But a lot of societies are doing stuff online and are still kind of doing Zoom activities and different things. And so I know the Dance Society have still been doing dance classes and everything on Zoom and stuff, and they've still been doing choreography and kind of all staying in touch and stuff. I was part of the LGBT society, and so that was a great opportunity just to like chill, just kind of meet different people that aren't on your course. And there was different with that society, and I think with a lot of societies, often they have the kind of the nights out, those kind of activities, but then they also kind of have sober activities or kind of just chill activities, like just kind of, I think one of the first sessions I went to, I think we played Cards Against Humanity. We've played a few board games as well, and that kind of stuff. Some societies will kind of have like little coffee shop days and things, and as well the big nights out, the theme nights, dressing up and stuff as well. So it really kind of does mean that if you're not a big person for, I guess, nights out or whatever, like, or you just feel like you kind of just want to chill, like there's those activities, or at the same time as being able to go to nightclubs and things. Yeah, I think, yeah, if I start talking about other stuff, I'm going to go into another question.
It's okay. It's not a problem at all. I would agree. Societies are really a great way to sort of get involved and to socialise with people. I joined Demon Media, and that really defined like my course. I've still got my hoodie in my wardrobe over there. I won't get it out because it is sweltering. But no, it is a really good way to sort of get yourself involved and around on campus. We're going to go into a couple of questions soon, so I'll just give you one sort of final question for this sort of student life stuff. What would your advice be for people thinking about coming to DMU?
Is that for any of us? Oh, sorry, Barnaby.
I was going to say for Barnaby, but if you've got something, Henrik, by all means, jump on in.
No, Barnaby, go first, honestly.
I think it's important. It sounds so simple, but like check your emails and like just reply to them, because there's so many opportunities that are going on in there. There's so many students I feel just kind of they just don't keep on top of them, or they just miss a lot of stuff. It's just so easy. Like I've downloaded the Outlook app on my phone, which means that I can actually get notifications when emails come through, which is really important because I'm also a brand ambassador, which you can become, and you can kind of do different. You can work on open days and things, and maybe do live streams like this. But you've got to, you need to reply to work quickly, otherwise other people will take it. But also, I just respond to emails because like it's so easy. I was gonna say the My DMU, there's an app you can get on your phone for My DMU, which will have everything you need from the university, whether it's you want to book a room for study or for kind of rehearsals. Like it's easy to check your emails. It's just so easy to just do it.
For sure. Henrik, you sounded like you had something that you wanted to add on the end of that.
Yeah, just obviously because we speak to potential students all the time. So I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I could give to anybody thinking of going to De Montfort or to uni in general is just to, when you do come, just fully immerse yourself in the full university experience, because you'll be so surprised as to sort of the opportunities you get and how things can sort of enhance your employability in your life once you even come to graduate. And so just sort of going back to the question we spoke about before, student life. Obviously, Barnaby and Jet, you were talking about societies, but a massive part of my student experience at DMU was sport. So like I've always played rugby all my life. I knew that when I came to DMU, I was always going to play rugby, so I did. But I never thought that in my final year I'd be elected as chairman, and that was just a really good opportunity to get a lot of experience that I actually would speak about in things like interviews. So like when I got my first graduate job, the experience that I actually spoke about was what I got from being sort of the head of a society. And you never think about these things, when you are thinking of going to university. But when you actually start looking at the bigger picture, you used to speak about sort of managing a group of 100 lads, which can be quite challenging at times. But doing loads of really successful charity stuff for things like Movember and all this kind of stuff. So when you are thinking of going to uni, just fully immerse yourself in the full experience, because you'll be so surprised at the opportunities that you'll get. And if you are, if you have got a place already confirmed with us, that kind of thing, start thinking about society, sports teams, trips, that kind of thing. Have a look on the website. There'll be tons of Facebook groups that you can join. You can start speaking to like people, fellow like-minded individuals, and it's just a really good opportunity to make good friends when you start. Because the start of uni can be daunting for some, because you are going to be put with a load of people that you've potentially never met before. So if you start, having those conversations in the summer, you'll be ready to go back when you start in October or September.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think what we haven't mentioned, but just quickly, like there's loads of placements and kind of volunteering opportunities, which you can, like Henrik said, go on the website before your course has even started and kind of find all of these things. I was the assistant director on a big Curve Theatre production, and that's something which runs every year. You can go and there's a producing placement, and I know they do that producing thing with the business studies as well. There's all sorts that's so specific to your industry, or you can volunteer with DMU Square Mile, helping people that are kind of in need and things, or maybe travel out to India or kind of different places where there's just so many opportunities to have a look at.
Great, thank you very much, both of you. We're going to get into sort of the question and answer sort of segment of the live stream now. So if either of you have a response to any of the questions that I'm bringing up, do feel free to jump on in it. I will, first and foremost, I can see one that's come up in the YouTube comments that I will address, asking to tell her the scope of fashion management course. This is something that we will not really be able to help you with, us three, given that we don't really have the experience with said course. The best thing to do is to get onto the website, I believe. And would you say this is something that she could call the inquiries team about potentially?
Yeah, I mean, we could potentially speak to inquiries. I mean, I can try and tackle this. Obviously, fashion. A lot of fashion degrees at DMU are sort of world renowned. So DMU is one of the best universities in the UK, at least, fashion courses and that kind of thing. They've got really good links to industry. You can always do like they offer placement years as well, which are really valuable, as Barnaby mentioned before. You know, to gain that experience, that industry experience, that sort of puts you ahead of the competition. When it comes to things like applying for jobs and that kind of thing. So if you are looking at studying things like fashion potentially, definitely look at DMU because they are one of the top unis. But yeah, definitely if you need to contact the inquiry team, just have a chat about the course, feel free. There's also all the information on the website. You'll be able to look at all the info on there as well.
Yep, fantastic. So let's get into a couple of questions, shall we? This is one that's quite important, I think. Can my parents call for me on the day of clearing?
So how it will work is if a student's already applied through the UCAS cycle, they'd have nominated a potential person to speak on their behalf, either a parent or a guardian, and that will be verified when you made that call. So if you've nominated someone to speak on your behalf, when you call through to say DMU, we'll be able to check that, and then we'll be able to speak to that parent or guardian. Obviously, this is to comply with things like GDPR and that kind of stuff, data protection, which is very important. If you haven't got that as a note on your account, we won't be able to, unfortunately, because we have to speak to the student, the nominated person, the account is in, essentially, the application is in. So, yeah.
Is that something that students can change on their UCAS thing, or is that something that you have to determine when you set up the account? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I think I know it's definitely something you put when you apply, when you start making your account. I can't see why there wouldn't be an option to have that added. I mean, I guess it's a case of if you are, if you are looking for someone to speak on your behalf, potentially contact UCAS either today, preferably today, not tomorrow, and they might be able to get that added for you. But to be brutally honest, I'm not certain. I just know that that's definitely something you can add when you look to create your application.
Okay, thank you very much. Going down the list here. Right, okay, here we go. Will it be safe to come to campus in October? I'm happy to jump on this if anyone else has anything else to say. But short answer, yes, it should be. We're running. We have our thing called Your DMU Future, where we're running a combination of on-campus and face-to-face content with some online lectures and stuff like that, designed to make sure that it's safe for you, but you're still getting the same amount of learning and studying that you would do in a time when we weren't affected by these restrictions. So yes, it will be safe. We have some strict social distancing rules enforced. You can check all that out if you head to Your DMU Future on the DMU page. I will see if I've got the link here. I don't think I do. Yes, we do. That one. There we go. So make sure to head to that link down below to have a little bit more of a look at what we're doing to keep the campus safe. But we will continue. That also answers that question, I suppose. So this one is one that anyone could jump in on. Is there much to do in the city? And to a further extent, what is Leicester like?
Yeah, there is. There's loads.
Yeah, we're both from Leicester, aren't we? I don't know if you are, Jake, as well.
I'm not Leicester native, but I'm living in Leicester now.
Okay, yeah. So, on we go ahead.
Yeah, there's loads to do, and there's loads that DMU kind of encourage you to do. There's loads of trips that so there's Curve Theatre, of course, which is one of the top 10 regional theatres in the UK. So definitely go and check that out, even if you don't, you're not interested in like a performing arts subject. Just because they do attract kind of major shows like national theatre shows and all sorts, and DMU often run subsidised trips to it and stuff, so you can get a much cheaper ticket. DMU also often have competitions to win tickets to go see Leicester City play at the King Power Stadium. That might be something that you're interested in. You can also go on stadium tours there. That's also very close to campus, so that might be something that you're interested in. There's almost, because Leicester is so multicultural, you don't really kind of get just one, like kind of one Indian takeaway place like in Leicester, or one Chinese takeaway place. Like, you don't get that. We have so many places you can try, so many different foods, and because it is so multicultural and there's so many people here, it means that all of those services are really good because they're all in competition with each other. So of course they are some of the best in the country. There's always kind of festivals and kind of things happening. We have the Golden Mile in Leicester, and there's big kind of celebrations for Eid and things, which of course you can get involved in. Like, you don't have to celebrate the religions to get involved with these kind of things, of course. Going back to kind of Leicester City, there's often kind of events like marches and stuff, or kind of, unfortunately for the chairman that passed away due to the helicopter crash, for example, the city of Leicester kind of all came together, and that actually passed through DMU campus, and DMU played a big part in that. And so there's honestly, like, there's loads to do. There's a National Space Centre as well, again, which you should definitely check out if you're here. There's so many parks. Bradgate Park is one of pretty much everyone's favourite in Leicester, but there's ones really close to campus. There's Victoria Park, which you might want to take a walk up. New Walk, which is nice. There's loads of museums. There's a museum on campus. Like, there's loads to do.
Yeah, I mean, just jumping in there, sorry, as well. I think I'm Leicester local, born and bred. I think, and I went to DMU. I think one of my apprehensions, like, a little bit apprehensive about at the start, was potentially studying a city that I've lived in for 20 odd years. But had an absolutely amazing time. I actually moved out, so I didn't stay at home. So, like, a slightly different to Barnaby, but I lived with my mates. And I thought Leicester's wicked. Like, I love the place. Still live here now, so it's been like 27 years lived in Leicester. But it's got a great nightlife. If you're into things like sport and that kind of thing, you've got massive sports teams. You've got, like, obviously the football team that won the Premier League. Obviously, we'll never stop banging on about that. But you've got the rugby club, you've got basketball, you've got cricket, you've got everything. We're right in the heart of the city centre. There's so much to do, shops, that kind of thing. East Midlands Airport is only sort of 45 minutes away. You've got a quick train to Birmingham, get to London in an hour, that sort of thing. So it's a really good place to study and live. Yeah.
For sure, and I'd agree with that. I'd say I suppose we've all had slightly different ways of going about this. As someone who moved to Leicester about 4 years ago now, I have to say that it's great because Leicester seems quite close and everything's really close and easy to get to and reach. But there is so much that I have still not done about Leicester in like 4 years. Like, you mentioned Bradgate Park. Everyone talks about Bradgate Park. I've never gone myself. But I absolutely love Leicester. There's a lot to do in a very small space. There's stuff like the National Space Centre as well, if you wanted a bit of a walk up by Abbey Park. So yeah, there is plenty to do in Leicester. And speaking about activities, is also worth pointing out about the DSU. They will support They support any activities that are going on campus. But also, if you wanted to make your own activity, you want to make your own society, you are actually able to do that with them. They're a great resource. They're great people to get involved with, and actually, just in general, like, they're a student-led company. They're really cool. They're really cool to be around. Right, this one's a bit more course-focused, I suppose. How supportive were the academics for you when you were studying as you are studying in your case, Barnaby?
Honestly, the academics are so supportive, and everyone from across all the courses seems to say this. For me, if I'm speaking about most recently, kind of with going into lockdown, our lecturers were really supportive in that situation. Of course, it was unknown for all of us, including the lecturers, and they were kind of trying to feel their way through what the right thing to do was. I actually had kind of, loads of personal stuff kind of kick off, and then my lecturer, we had kind of, a one-to-ones beforehand, but then in the kind of when all that was happening, and I actually emailed her about it, and like, it's really cheesy, but like I said in the email, I'm telling you this because you're a lecturer that I trust. And then when we spoke next, like, on at the beginning of our kind of Zoom call, like for the first half an hour, we just kind of spoke about that and how I was and stuff, and I just thought that was so nice. Like it wasn't like, you know, even though of course I had like my dissertation and things that were in, and that you know that's kind of why we were calling, but it was like obviously like my kind of well-being and kind of how I was just as important. She also fast tracked me through to speak to someone from the well-being team, which is very accessible, and it was actually like because of everything at the moment, they've actually they said that they're not too oversubscribed or anything. They have lots of time to work with people. So like, you know, even though I was fast tracked, like they made it very clear like I didn't really need to be, and anyone that was struggling, like to let them know to get involved with it. And you can also kind of, you know, they've got a good counselling service and stuff, which is still going on, kind of via phone call and stuff. And for me, like one of the most important things about the lecturers has been that I think a lot of people forget that DMU is a TEF Gold university, which is a teaching for excellence framework, and Gold is like, you know, the best that any university can get. I feel like, you know, when you go to different unis, that you kind of think it's just you don't really understand what they mean. Like a lot of universities are in league tables, or they have some achievement. But I feel like being here, I've kind of really seen that. So my second year in devising, I kind of got a 2-1 in my first devising piece. I had a 1-to-1 with one of my lecturers, and she, you know, she sat me down and was just so supportive. And she told me she really believed that I could get a first in my next performance, and she kind of showed me, you know, we kind of looked at my last performance and kind of how I could have pushed that, kind of what direction I could kind of go into next, and she kind of, you know, pointed me in the direction of a few resources and things. But just having that kind of that person believe in you, and you know, really kind of just believe that you are going to succeed and do well, made a huge difference. And, you know, it meant that I did actually get first in that performance, and then I got first in the module, and then, you know, like eventually now I've got a first that got my whole degree, and I see that as such a major moment. The fact the lecturers genuinely believe in us and genuinely care about us and want us to, you know, do the best that we can.
For sure. Thank you very much. I mean, you pretty succinctly wrapped it up there. So we're coming towards the end of the live stream. This will be available for rewatch if you have missed anything, any of the important information about clearing. But so I think it'd be a good idea to sort of go around and just see if there's anything else that you guys might want to add, any sort of last words you want to put in that we might not have been able to raise earlier on in the call. So Henrik, did you want to go first?
Yeah, I'd just say obviously for clearing tomorrow, you know, potentially if things don't quite go to plan what you're expecting, don't be disheartened. Obviously, clearing can be a really positive experience for most people, and you know, potentially you might find a space out there on a course that might really interest you. And then, you know, when it comes to graduating, that kind of thing, no one cares that you went through clearing. It doesn't say on your, you know, your certificate that you went through clearing, that kind of thing. You're just the same as all the other students at that institution, so you'll be absolutely fine. And I just want to wish you all the best of luck with your results tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. Best of luck for everyone with your results tomorrow. Barnaby, is there anything else you wanted to add before we come to a close?
Just kind of in agreement, really. Like, I think it's important also kind of like, of course, it doesn't matter how you came to the university, but then, you know, for those people that end up studying, like, don't forget to enjoy it, and kind of, you know, as much as it is like, you know, take all of these opportunities and kind of just be immersed in it, but like, you know, enjoy it and enjoy. You know, I'm at the end of my third year now, and I'm seeing all the stuff that DMU is doing for kind of first years and things. Like, I'm kind of like, I miss being a first year. I miss that experience of starting university and meeting new people. And you will get that, you know, that will, of course, at first, it won't be kind of, you know, in the usual or normal way that we're used to, but like that will happen, and there will be DMU global trips in the next few years when you study. So like, just remember to enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys have summed everything up better than I could have. So I think the last thing to highlight is those important numbers for if you are wanting to join us through clearing. So the number to get in contact with us, to call us, is 0116 257 7000. That's 0116 257 7000. They will be on the bottom of your screen now. WhatsApp is 07970 655 800. It's important, and we're hoping that we'll be able to welcome a load of you guys to the Montfort come September. So thank you very much for coming along to the stream today. Thank you, Barnaby. Thank you, Henrik, for getting involved and coming and helping you out with this. Yes, we will have another couple of streams tomorrow, going over any more questions you might have, but also taking you on a tour of campus and all other sorts of things. But for now, this is going to be us signing off. So thank you very much, and we will see you when we do.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.